Happy New Year! It's Sat E Day once again. I am Sat E Nyangi. Welcome to WrestleTalk News, and here's the top story. Top story. One of the major talking points of this week was regarding Triple H's major announcement on WWE 24 preview on Thursday. This huge news would ultimately be Trips just re-announcing old news and not WWE announcing a partnership with a newly rebooted TNA as had been rumored online. But fear not, as some other WWE Forbidden Door collabs may be coming in 2024 after all. Yay, yay! According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, both Triple H and Nick Khan are seeking out Japanese allies, with the first step of the plan already executed, that being NXT star Charlie Dempsey's recent crossover into All Japan Pro Wrestling. As well as AJPW, WWE was also reportedly looking at a partnership with Women's Promotional Ally, with Stardom reportedly considered. The juiciest of all though, according to Meltzer, there is talk internally in WWE of another pursuit of a partnership with NJPW now that Hiroshi Tanahashi is president. Something that would undoubtedly have implications on AEW's existing relationship. But it may not just be NJPW in the middle of this perspective. WWE and AEW tug of war, as right now the hottest free agent in the game, Mercedes Moné, seems to be up for the taking, with WWE and Moné reportedly far apart on the finances of a potential deal. Negotiation momentum once again shifts to AEW this week, with it being reported by many sources that the CEO is expected to join, a move that, according to Meltzer, again is AEW's counterpunch for WWE's much-rumored signing of Andrade El Idolo. This fighting spirit was seemingly echoed by an AEW source who told PW Insider, "If you don't think we're in the hunt, you are crazy." A WWE source, on the other hand, told PW Insider that they're still confident that Moné will return. Nothing has seemingly been signed yet in regards to a contract, however, but stay tuned to WrestleTalk.com for updates. From one potential major WWE arrival to a major recent departure, as we have an update on Vince McMahon's former right-hand man of destruction, Kevin Dunn. Last week, WWE President Nick Khan confirmed Dunn's exit in an internal WWE email where he thanked him for his 4 decades of service. How nice! Quite refreshing to see such a wholesome split. Oh wait, of course it wasn't. According to PW Insider's Mike Johnson, Dunn didn't exit the company to retire or sit on the porch for the rest of his days. Instead, there's a growing belief that he left the company due to feeling disrespected for being a Vince McMahon guy, according to a WWE source. Dunn reportedly isn't even planning to retire at all. Instead, being open to get work in film and TV in the future. There you go, multiple cuts in your film and TV shows. Who's doing that? Might be Kevin Dunn. The relationship between Dunn and WWE reportedly deteriorated in recent weeks, with things getting uglier after Dunn handed in his notice, with Dunn reportedly not too keen to relinquish any control over production after ruling the roost for decades, and Endeavor reportedly also looking to cut costs. The split looks to have been inevitable. Now guys, next up, we've got Pete Quinnell back in 2024. Our Lord 2024, you got Roman Reigns, you got Pete Quinnell doing SmackDown review. Oh yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. And again, I'll see you next Saturday day. And of course, the camera goes black.
Thank you, Sat, and now it's time for my review of SmackDown New Year's Revolution in about 5 minutes. I really enjoy WWE bringing back defunct pay-per-view names for special episodes of TV, and I think the extra hype that was brought with Raw being the Day 1 edition carried its expectations. This episode of SmackDown didn't. It was a completely fine episode of TV, but definitely didn't feel like a big New Year reset show like Raw did, so let's see why. The show began with a recap of Rock's return on Raw, along with Roman Reigns arriving at the show and laughing at the thought of Rock challenging him for his title. We then had the finals of the United States Championship Tournament with Kevin Owens facing Santos Escobar, and we even got a Logan Paul to join for commentary for this one. The match itself was good, with Santos and KO bringing out their big moves. It never seemed to reach that higher gear though, which stopped it from being a great or excellent match. In the end, Owens won clean with a stunner after Humberto and Angel were driven out by Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. Logan cut a promo on why a Canadian can't win the US title for some nice heat as they were in Vancouver, and KO knocked him out with a cast on his arm. Really looking forward to that match at the Rumble. Should be a great time. Cameron Grimes backstage said, "Glad to see you met Kevin," to Logan Paul, Grayson Waller, and Austin Theory, and they got a little shovey, which set up a match between Grimes and Waller for next week. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits cut an in-ring promo next where Lashley said he wants to get back to being the Almighty in 2024 and declared himself for the Royal Rumble match. The Street Profits want the tag belts too, so they issue a warning to Judgment Day on Raw, but that's when they're interrupted by Karrion Kross's Titantron. The lights go out and Kross walks out on the stage with Scarlett, and then walking out behind the two is Paul Ellering. AOP finally made their WWE return, swarming the ring and hitting a super collider on the Street Profits. Kross hit whatever his move is called on Lashley, the pump handle swinging release DDT, maybe? I think this new group looks very cool. Kross has always looked very impressive, and I've always been a fan of AOP's presence. I'm quietly curious about this group and what they can achieve, but I don't know if this fixes the larger problem with Kross and his lack of connection with the audience when the bell rings. It's nice to see AOP though. I hope they get a good showing in the tag division. Io Sky defended her women's title against Michin next, which was also a good match. The crowd weren't into Michin to start with, but after some big moves they started to get going a little bit, like Michin hitting a second rope Styles Clash, which was rad. However, not long after, Io countered a Michin dive by moving out of the way, Samoa Joe approves, and capitalized with some knees and a moonsault to retain. A good match. Paul Heyman backstage cut a promo on The Rock, AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton, saying there's only two ways to go viral: to date Taylor Swift and to call out Roman Reigns. The Rock wants a shortcut into the headlines, but he's not been invited to a dinner of relevancy yet. It was a typically great Heyman promo. Damage Control backstage celebrated Io Sky's win, and Bayley continues to hype her plan, saying next the Kabuki Warriors need to win the tag gold, and then she can win the Royal Rumble and take the title off Rhea Ripley. They're interrupted by Bianca Belair though, who say Bayley won't be winning the Rumble, she will. After she leaves, Io Sky via Dakota Kai said that Bayley needs to sort out Bianca Belair. We don't want her interfering with your plan. There was a lot of stink put on the your plan part of that sentence. I'm all for these little subtle teasers of what's to come. Pretty Deadly faced Butch and a mystery partner next who turned out to be Tyler Bate. I'm sure Luke is very excited somewhere, and I was too. It's great to see Bate finally on the main roster because he's been main roster ready since about 2017. The crowd didn't care though, and understandably so considering they've not been told who Bate is or why they should care. They popped a little for some of his offense, but it tells you what kind of audience it is when they don't react to some fantastic little chain mat wrestling, but do go crazy for the airplane spin. Tyler Bate got the win after a double Tyler driver, and it was nice seeing Bate wrestle, but I felt like this should have been made a bit more of a big deal than it was. Nick Aldis backstage sat down with Ashante the Adonis, who said he's been itching for an opportunity, and Aldis said he's got some opportunities that he'll be excited to hear. I'm curious, though I suspect this will just be a way to have Karrion Kross murder him next week to qualify for the Royal Rumble or something. And then we had our main event, a #1 contenders match to determine Roman Reigns' challenger at the Royal Rumble. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton versus LA Knight. Yeah. The match was predictably very good, with each person looking like they were closing in on victory at various points. Knight hit the BFT on Orton, but Styles stopped the referee from counting 3. Orton hit an RKO off a springboarding Styles, but Knight returned the favor, pulling the ref out of the ring to stop the 3 count. Knight also got busted open from a Styles springboard 450, but after the match was reaching that highest gear, the Bloodline entered and beat up everyone in the match, with a powerbomb to Styles, a Superman punch and spear to Knight, and a spear/Samoan spike combo to Orton. I then wrote in my notes while I was watching, this will result in a fatal 4-way at the Rumble, and I'm going to be pissed. And right on cue, Nick Aldis, who was at ringside to watch the match, told Paul Heyman off mic that it will be a fatal 4-way at the Rumble as the show went off the air. I really don't like this finish for several reasons. Firstly, Roman, have you ever watched the show before? You know that if you beat up everyone in a #1 contenders match, they all get put into the match. Secondly, the match never ended. It's a no DQ match. I think it's still going on right now. It's a lame cop-out way to get to the 4-way, when if they wanted a 4-way, they could have done something a bit more interesting, like a 3-way pin, which still wouldn't have been perfect, but setting up a non-convoluted 4-way from a #1 contenders match is always tricky. There's also the fact that Aldis announced this 4-way only to Heyman and off mic so the cameras could pick it up, but not the live crowd or Roman, which I think would have helped the moment shine a bit more. It was just an odd finish. Like, what was Roman's plan here? He just beat up his contenders because he wanted to make a statement. I can't see a good enough reason for it, and it seems very out of character for the quite calculated Roman. So overall, as mentioned before, this show didn't really live up to the hype of the New Year's Revolution billing. The wrestling never reached excellent territory, always being just a step down from where it could be. We got a new faction, which is superficially exciting, but I'm still concerned about Karrion Kross Reboot Project number 4 and how it's ultimately different from 1 through 3. There was a low-key debut for Tyler Bate, which was good, but could have been more, and that was about it. This SmackDown was a low 3 out of 5. Now check out Luke and Dan talking about January's biggest movie releases in Cineworld's What's On by clicking the video on the left.